Thank you for joining us today. If you are watching live, make sure to interact with us in the comments. Some of our team is engaging here and would love to talk with you during and after our stream. If you are watching this later on, what we go over today will still be valuable in giving you insight on what's new in the ProPresenter world. ProPresenter 7 has been out now for over 2 years. It's extremely stable, but maybe the best part is that just over 2 years in and there have been enough improvements to the product for many companies to consider it a whole new major version already. Of course, since we are continuing the process of updating ProPresenter, we aren't stopping and will be continuing to keep delivering value to ProPresenter Plus through continuous improvements. Today we'll be talking about some functionality that will improve the controllability for those of you who use ProPresenter in a very basic way, as well as for those of you who use it to its fullest potential in more complicated setups. We also have a few updates to the user interface that have been requested, which we think some of you may enjoy seeing. While everything we talk about isn't necessarily going to be available today, we will be rolling out different functions throughout our public beta period as they become available. First, let's talk about making it easier to control your show. A live production might include lighting changes, audio playing from somewhere, a live stream starting or stopping, video cameras switching, slides changing, and of course more. And for any one person, that can be a lot. Now, not everyone has the luxury of having 3 or more people running different production stations. Sometimes one person gets stuck doing everything. When I first got married, I was employed at a small church. The very first week of marriage, my wife ended up having to run our live in-person sound, our live stream video switching, and our slides all at one time because none of our regular volunteers were available at that point. I know she is not the only person who has ever been in this situation, but having an iPad, video switcher, and keyboard in front of her was a lot to manage. Well, today we're introducing our own native plugin for the Elgato Stream Deck. The Stream Deck is a suite of apps and hardware that are inexpensive for what they're capable of doing. Stream Deck can take multiple tasks and fire them from a single button or combine the control of different pieces of software and hardware all from one device. Basically, instead of needing an iPad, video switcher, and keyboard in front of you, just use the Stream Deck to fire multiple actions across different software and products all at once. With ProPresenter and Stream Deck, I can set up a previous and next button to use for advancing slides instead of my keyboard. I can start my live stream at the click of a button, and I can trigger a prop or a macro. One of the neatest things about Stream Deck actually is similar to macros in ProPresenter. On the Stream Deck, we can combine multiple different actions from different plugins in the Elgato library to fire from a single button. Many of the top smart products available, video switchers, audio and streaming apps, plus more have plugins that you can use alongside the ProPresenter plugin. This makes your show easier to run no matter how many people you have available or how complex or simple your production needs are. Speaking of controlling ProPresenter, I present to you ProPresenter Control. With ProPresenter Control, you can take command and view what's happening within ProPresenter from anywhere on your local network. When you log into control.propresenter.com, you'll enter your IP address for the computer you want to control, and from there you can see what timers are running and even start or stop them. You can trigger an audio playlist, a prop, or see what document from the playlist view is currently live on that instance of ProPresenter. ProPresenter Control has so many use cases, like someone seeing what document is currently live in a playlist, checking on a timer, or even for a producer in a separate room. They could be calling shots and potentially assisting your operators by taking command. What we've shown off today from ProPresenter Control is currently being developed, and we can't wait to get that in your hands soon. Both ProPresenter Control and the Stream Deck plugin are only possible because of our API. An API is the way that someone can build an app or service to work with another app. So the reason we are able to make these 2 new offerings is by using this API. Today, we get to announce the new ProPresenter API, which will allow you to make your own apps or services that work with ProPresenter. To better communicate this to you, here are some moments from a short video that Dan Owen and I recorded earlier. Hey Dan, thanks for joining us. I know you've been working on the Companion project for a while. Do you mind just talking a little bit about who you are and what Companion is?
Hey Cody, you know my name's Dan. I'm an Aussie from down under, family man who also serves in church, been serving in production, running ProPresenter for like 7 years. I got interested in Companion. It's an open source project, so developers love open source projects, and it allows Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck, basically to become a shot box, shortcut buttons for actions for a plethora of production hardware and software. So you can have this control center that runs an entire show in a kind of a theater environment. That's become popular in churches because somebody built a module for that to control ProPresenter.
It sat there for a while, and you kind of came back in and revived it, and
yeah, so I bumped into it and thought this is fantastic, and jumped onto it and started using it, but it didn't do everything. But the good thing about open source, if you're a developer, you can quickly jump into the project and start contributing. I ended up being the only chap who was doing that probably for the last 2 years.
With the new API that we're announcing, do you feel like that's going to kind of change the game for you in terms of future development for Companion and maybe for other products?
Completely changed the game. Because now it's public, and it's supported, and B, there's no hours at night trying to figure out the answer to questions. It's all documented, and you get to just sit back, relax, and read how to use the API.
For you, what do you think the biggest difference for just the consumers that are out there using ProPresenter between Companion and Stream Deck plugins?
Stream Deck, I think, is a lot more user-friendly. If Companion is probably more suited to slightly more advanced users, and especially those users who want a single shot box that can not only control ProPresenter, but everything else in the booth all around you. If you want to have a station that can run the entire show, probably Companion. If you just want the convenience of quickly connecting to ProPresenter and automating and controlling that, then Stream Deck.
For sure. Well, thanks for jumping on the call for a little bit. We at Renewed Vision really appreciate your heart, what you've done for ProPresenter over the past few years, and we're excited to see what you continue to do, as well as other developers as well.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you. To sum up the API functionality of ProPresenter, for our users who love to make their own solutions, you will now have access to our public documentation for doing so with ProPresenter. For those of you who have no desire to make your own apps, what this means for you is that more and more third-party resources will become available to help you operate and run ProPresenter over time. Right now, that means the companion app for Stream Deck that Dan is working on, as well as the 2 new functions that we brought to the table ourselves, including the native Stream Deck plugin and ProPresenter Control. I imagine it's not going to be too long until you see someone come out with, for example, an Apple Watch where you could swipe backwards to go to previous slide, or you could swipe forward to go to the next slide, which I think would be really cool for presenters on a stage. These are the exciting types of things we get to look forward to independent developers and users creating. Now in 7.8.3, we released an update that brought NDI up to version 5, and now in this release, we are bringing some great control to NDI. If you're an advanced user, this is going to be great for you because now you'll be able to set custom resolutions for NDI screens. Plus, you'll also be able to set NDI static IPs or NDI receive groups if you're using NDI Access Manager. We've made a few improvements to the interface for ProPresenter based off of feedback from you that I'd like to mention as well. Some of you have said that you'd like to see the stage screen not show what's coming up next if you've already cleared your slide layer. So now you have the option within your clear group settings to choose whether you would like the next slide to clear when your presentation clears. If you've ever wondered what audience look is currently live during a show, well, now you can see that right from your main interface without having to open any menus, and you can even select a new audience look to make active right from there. We've also updated the context menu for media in your playlists to reflect that of Pro Video Player, giving you quicker access to the settings that are most common. Lastly, but certainly not least, as part of our user interface refinements in this release, we've made it possible to see media actions as slides when using Easy View. That means even in Easy View, your PowerPoint JPEGs or even videos are now going to be visible for your operator if desired. One final note about this release as far as ProPresenter is concerned is that we've added a new MIDI note that will allow you to clear the announcement layer. To pay homage to my youth group years, we have a new theme available called United, which feels a whole lot like a Hillsong United album cover, and it's available from ProPresenter.com/free. Plus, we also have a new motion pack available called Spaced Out, which definitely gives off those ethereal outer space vibes. These are available thanks to ProPresenter Plus. Today starts a new world for our ProPresenter users. Whether you are a developer yourself and now have more supported opportunity for making use of ProPresenter, or are a user who will benefit from developers making apps to help you control ProPresenter better, we think the future of our community is brighter and more connected than ever before. Now with ProPresenter Control, you can see what's happening in ProPresenter from your browser in any room of your building. Plus, with our native Stream Deck plugin, no matter what your skill level is, you can control ProPresenter at the push of a button. The user interface enhancements and NDI improvements will help your show run smoother. And of course, everyone loves free content. So I hope you'll make use of our newest motion pack and theme, plus tag us on social media when you do. This update will be available soon as a beta for you to get your hands on and to test out. With this release, we will be rolling out different functions like ProPresenter Control and Stream Deck as they become available. I hope you've enjoyed learning about what we've been working on and can't wait to see how these new functions of ProPresenter allow you to share the greatest stories ever told.